Oh, goody. Hey, Justin, did you say your VM was turned off?
What is in Chinese?
Let me turn on the chat.
Hey, can you turn on my permission to record?
Sure.
Can you turn on mine too? It's Tony.
Mine as well.
Who was talking? Tony?
Mhm.
Tony and Jade.
Okay, who else wants to record? I'm recording it also, and I'm going to upload these to YouTube.
Okay.
Okay, never.
Didn't someone record these to YouTube and had problems with them YouTube not taking the file?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it said it's too long. So maybe if you want to do that, you have to edit it first.
Oh, well, that's no good. Well, we'll have to find someplace else to upload them at then. I sent an email to the department, said, hey, what do you guys recommend? Which platform for uploading videos? Anyway, let me see if I can fix your computer real quick, Justin. So give me just a minute. You're 73. Also, I've got this laptop now hardwired instead of on the Wi-Fi, which it was on, so we shouldn't have any choppiness today. Do I sound okay right now?
Yes.
Okay. Justin, it says your machine's on. Did you maybe disconnect from Chrome remote? '73. D-sensor 73. Give me just a second, guys. I'm seeing if I can fix Justin's virtual machine real quick. We're waiting for other people to get on. You know what the best part about doing classes online is? You can have a glass of wine while you're in class. Mm. Or beer, whatever you're into. Okay, Justin, your computer, your machine looks like it's on. I just changed the password on it, but you're logged in. Were you still having problems with it? VM13, let me take a look at it. Actually, I can show you guys what I do if you want. You want to see what I'm doing when I'm looking at these virtual machines? That might be kind of helpful too. For you guys, just a little bit of learning. Okay, so let me share my screen over here. Let me get my chat window back up. Oh, I don't like Zoom very much. Oh, there it is. What's that about Queen? Seriously, you poured yourself a glass of wine, Angelica? That's funny. I'm not condoning that or recommending that. You guys drink whatever you want, eat whatever you want, do whatever you want, as long as you're paying attention and learning something and participating. You can turn your videos on if you want so I can see you guys. I'd prefer to see you guys. Otherwise, it's kind of boring for me. So anyway, here's what I do is I log into, if I want to see what's going on in the local lab, I've got a machine there on the EI Lab network called JQuinn 764, which is what I'm in right now. But if I want to try to control, so let's say you guys are having problems with one of your machines, I've got some other virtual machines in there set up that I can remotely view. So first of all, I've got one here called, there's a domain controller. So I'm going to remotely view the domain controller here real quick. Every Windows network at a business should have at least one domain controller on it, which is the thing that controls all of your usernames and password logins. And so there's all your usernames and passwords and student IDs. And so first thing I do when somebody says there's a problem, if I need to try to get into your machine, I come in here and I change your password temporary. Oh, our student IDs, by the way, confidential. Should I not be showing this screen? Maybe I shouldn't be showing that screen, but we used to use, for student IDs, we used to use social security numbers, which was not secure. So, excuse me, that's why everybody gets a student ID now. But I'll come over here to the domain controller and I will potentially change the password if I need to. Where'd that program go? Oh, there's DNS information. That's what I'm sometimes doing when I want to see what y'all's domains look like. But I need to view actually one other computer. I'm going to view the VMware environment, which is similar to the Proxmox environment. And we're going to, excuse me, we're going to look and see if there's anything wrong with any of these machines. Now, it's a little bit slow. So that's VM73 right there. That's your VM, Justin, I believe, right? And it looks like it's running just fine. So you should be able to use that one. And I'm viewing it through vCenter, which is VMware's way. This is equivalent to using Proxmox's console viewer. So now I'm trying to close. It's going really slow. I may not be able to do this way because it's just going too slow. Another way that I view these machines is, since I'm on the local network with this machine, I can fire up Internet Explorer just like I'm in the lab and go to that Zen EI Lab login, which is what you guys are doing. I would log in with your student ID and the generic password after I reset it. Then I should be able to get onto your computer and see it. I'll delete that out of the recording. But as far, I know you guys might be concerned about the student IDs, but are student IDs really, are they confidential? Are we not supposed to show you guys each other's student IDs? I didn't really think they were confidential, but if they are, I'll take those out of that video.
It's not confidential because we use them for login.
That's what I figured. I mean, I figured that's just your username, and people, they've never told me to keep student IDs strictly confidential. It's not like a password. But anyway, so as long as you have some sort of a Windows machine in the lab that you can remotely access, then you can do some of this yourself. So this one's not part of that, cluster. So I can always get access to it. Anyway, what I wanted to show you guys today is what I was looking at is there's still some of you that haven't done something. So I figured I'd look at some very common issues that some of you are having. And since we're recording this session, you can go back and play this session and fix some of these issues that we're having. Hang on, I gotta get a drink. I don't know how long I'm going to last today. I've got kind of a sore throat. I don't think I have corona. I've not been going anywhere. But my throat's a little hoarse, probably mostly from talking on the phone a lot to my client. So let's not worry about that for right now. So I'm gonna log into, I'm gonna log into Proxmox 7. I wanna see if Proxmox 7 is still up and running. We were having an issue with that machine, so I helped Angelica migrate off of that machine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And what I'm gonna do is kind of show people what I showed you yesterday, just to make sure that they're comfortable with and familiar with doing this, because it's a really common thing that you have to do to migrate machines around. So we did a manual migration. First of all, I need to change this. That's from last semester when I was using the old numbers. So. On 2.168.40.100, right? And let's see if it's still up and running. If it's not, I'll show you guys on a different one. Okay, looks like it's up and running. By the way, somebody was complaining that they had an issue logging in. Just make sure that Linux PAM is chosen. Some of you accidentally click on that third item on that login screen, which is the Proxmox authentication. That won't work. Got to use the Linux authentication. Okay, so here's Proxmox 7. It's running. I don't see any other storage that's been assigned to it, like NFS storage. I thought that one or more of you had set up NFS storage. So the first thing I tried to do with Angelica is I said, okay, this machine is unstable. We need to take these virtual machines that you care about. Let's pretend that Jake Santos is one we care about. And we need to get it off and put it on another machine. So first thing I would do is shut it down, because it'll make a backup a lot faster. Then I'll make a backup, but it's preferable to make a backup onto a remote drive or an NFS shared drive somewhere else. So first of all, I went to data center and I went to storage. This is a bit laggy, sorry. And I looked to see if there was any NFS storage already mounted. There is not, so I clicked on Add, NFS, and I started looking for NFS storage, like this. And I started typing in randomly the IP addresses of the servers in the data center there, 168.10.200, for example. And then I clicked down there. If there was any storage that was available to me, if it says it was available to me, then I should have seen something in export, but I don't. Your server says it's offline, Audrey? Which server is it?
It says it's 204. It says connection error, server offline, question mark, and I can't like restart it, or the button's like grayed out.
Which server are you on? Are you
Oh
talking
wait,
about
never
your-
mind. It's a container. It's
Okay,
container
you're talking about a
204.
virtual machine. I'm talking about
Okay.
Proxmox. So we'll look at that in just a minute.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't see any exports from Proxmox 2. I could go check. And anybody from Team 2 online right now?
I'm
It's-
online.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're
Did you guys already add? Did you already add NFS storage to your server, as I had asked?
In the beginning, yeah, we did.
Okay, so I should see something there when I click that little down arrow. So let's stop for a minute. I'm going to go log into Proxmox 2, and I'm going to see if you've got any shared storage that you've made available. I'm going to click on data center and storage. You don't have any mounted, but you may have made some available without mounting any. So I'm going to click add. I'm going to click NFS. I'm going to see if I can just share my own storage. I'm just going to call it NFS for right now. 192.168.10.200, and then click the export button. I don't see anything. So it doesn't seem to be that there's any NFS server running. So let's go out here to shell. Okay, and there should be an NFS server running. So if I do that and I type in grep NFS, I can see what's running. I don't see anything. So maybe you guys never installed NFS server storage. So let's just go through that again, if that's okay, just because I want this should be done on everybody's server. If it's not done, we need to do it. So we need to install the NFS kernel server. If it's already installed, it will tell us that. So @get install NFS kernel server. Now you could have also installed this on one of your workstations, one of your containers or one of your VMs, but they don't really have a lot of space. We're going to install it on the Proxmox server, which is okay to do. Normally you don't really want to do that. You want to have a separate bare bones server for your NFS or your network file storage, but this is okay to do for you guys to teach you how to do it. Tilt that monitor down some. Okay, you guys can all see the screen okay, right? What I'm typing?
Yes.
Okay, and how's my voice today? Is it not choppy today?
No, it's clear.
Yeah, you're clear.
Okay, was it choppy this same time yesterday?
Not really.
Okay, some people in the other class were complaining. Could have been my computer, could have been theirs, I don't know. Let's see what the next step was. Okay, then we're supposed to build, or supposed to add information into this exports file, which it probably already built for us. Oops, what happened there? Nano exports. Okay, there's nothing yet in the file. There's just some text in the file, some comments in the file. And we're supposed to now put what we want to share. Now we haven't really designated any stored, any shared space yet. So actually, let me exit that for a minute first. Let's go into var lib vz. That's where Proxmox's stuff usually is. Let's create a folder right there called shared. Okay. mkdir shared. We're not going to put anything in that. We're just going to call it shared. Then we want to nano, etc. exports. And we will put that folder into this file. Var lib vz shared tab key, and then we need to put this information in there. Let's go back to our comment. You put in the IP address or the range of IP addresses that you want to share it with. Okay, so in this example up here, they're saying, I want to share this folder to everybody in 192.168.1.anything. And then in parentheses, they want to allow read-write access, no root squash, subtree check. Those are a few variables there. So let's go back to let's just use that right there. So instead of putting in 192.168.1.0, I'm going to put 192.168.0.0/16. And what that does for those of you that are in my networking class or taking the networking class, that means everybody on 192.168.anything.anything network will be able to get access to this share. Parentheses, readable and writable. Sync. No root squash. In other words, allow root to access it. No subtree check. And that's probably all I need for that to make it work. Let's save that file. Now the kernel, the kernel server is probably not running yet. Just because we installed it doesn't mean it's running. So we need to come back up here and finish what we're supposed to do up here after we install. This is actually not the best installation. Let me go somewhere else. Here we go. This is the one we used before. This is a better one. How to forge. Howtoforge.com is one of my favorite websites, that and SourceForge. So we already did this. We probably don't have to do that because that's probably part of this. There it's making a folder called shared. We may need to do that. We may need to change the read rules on it. There's the export stuff that I just did. And then we need to restart it right there. So we haven't started it yet. Service NFS kernel server, start or restart. Okay, I didn't get any output, which means it's probably running. If you want to check, do a PS AWUX. Grep for something called NFS. And I see NFSD. It's not NFS kernel server. This is what the program happens to call itself as it's running. And you see there's several processes running. They're all just copies, so we can have multiple people connected in at one time. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's basically like 8 checkers at Walmart when you're going to checkout. There's 8 checkers available, and you can get into any of those lines. That doesn't mean that only 8 people can connect. Just like that means that when you're at Walmart, there can be more than 8 people shopping or 8 people waiting to check out. You just get in line. So this can be tweaked with most server services. You can change that down to 4 or change it up to 20. It depends on how busy your server is going to be. Today I'm employing 8 checkers. Gesundheit, I think. Okay, just look at the chat window. All right, so it's running. So that means that I'm going to go into the shared folder there. That means that's an available place that I can now store the backups from Proxmox 7 because we want to migrate something off Proxmox 7 now. I've already done it with Angelica, but I'm going to go ahead and just do it again to show you guys how we did it. I'm going to cancel that. Oh, and I forgot one important step, which I may or may not need to do depending on where I am in this process. I may need to export the new shares. So it's export FS. So if you make any changes to that exports file, you have to type in export FS to re-export that new information, republish that new information.
For the NFS, are we doing both our own personal virtual machine plus the local storage too?
No, we're just going to do this on. What are you asking, Angelica? Say it again.
On the NFS, on the NFS server that we just did, are we doing that both on our own personal machines and this local storage?
If you want to, just for proof of life, to know that you know how to do it, but I'd prefer that you guys just know how to use NFS and what the concept of using network file storage is. Excuse me. So if you didn't get a chance to set it up, as long as you got a chance to use it, either from Proxmox when you built the virtual machine, or you used it from within one of your virtual machines to mount and store some data files there, like some web files, for example, that's fine, as long as you have some experience doing it. So I'm on machine 7 here, storage, add, NFS storage, 168.10.200. And as soon as I click, oh, excuse me, that's supposed to go here. I'm going to call this Proxmox 2 shared, just so I know what that's called inside the Proxmox. And then when I click that, it should give me the shared space, but it's not. let's see if we can first share it. It may be that we have a firewall issue. So let's make sure it's running. So the first thing we should try doing after we did this on our server is see if we can share it to ourselves, which normally you don't do that, but we're just doing this to see if it works. Add NFS storage. And the IP address I'm going to put is my internal IP address of 127.0.0.1, which may or may not work because I think I need to put that in the exports file. Let's try the 192.168.10.200. And I'm not seeing anything. I should be able to see that shared info. This is what we tried to do yesterday, Angelica, and we couldn't find anybody. So maybe there's something else going on, but let me spend just a little minute more. It's blank, Austin? Not necessarily. We'll take a look at your issue in a second. Let's spend just a few more seconds on this, and I'll figure out what's going on with it after the class. I was trying to get it to work now. Maybe I'm not typing in something wrong, right? Oh, I might need to do that, -A. And let's go ahead and do a chmod as it's suggested to in that other one. I'm gonna right now, oops, var lib vz. Right now that folder is, well, it says it's world readable. So I think we're already okay. I don't think we even needed to do that. Yeah, we should be good. This should be working, guys. There it is. Okay, so I'm not going to bother adding it here on Proxmox 2, but now I see it. So now let's go over to Proxmox 7 and actually add it there. Storage, add, NFS. Parallel VZ shared, nice, and I'm going to tell it, well, I want to be able to potentially put a lot of different things on there. So I'm just going to say all those things. Not going to put snippets, but all those other things. I'll change my bags, bump that up to 2. Now, ideally, the best place to share to or share from is the server that you're going to migrate to. So I'm going to pretend that I want to migrate my virtual machine there, 725. I want to migrate that over to Proxmox 2. Okay. Added the storage is a variety of different ways to do this. I'll show you the one way to do it, and that is we can do a backup onto Proxmox 2 storage and then restore it there. Okay. So I'm going to click backup. Storage. I'm going to change the storage from local to that Proxmox 2 shared. And I'll click backup now. doesn't matter if we do a snapshot version or a stop version or not, just leave it on snapshot. It's off, so it doesn't really matter. And not sure how long that'll take, hopefully not very long. We'll go do something else while that's backing up. Oh, it looks like it's gonna be pretty quick. Now what we can do to see if that's actually going over to machine 2, as we can see, well, there's 4 new folders that were created, and those were created by Proxmox 7. When I said I want to use that shared storage for all these different reasons. Oh, and one other thing, it's probably important, I should probably show you. We probably need to indicate when we added that storage that it was shared storage. Okay, we didn't have that option. We didn't have to tell it was shared, probably because it's smart enough to realize, well, if this is NFS storage, it's probably being potentially shared by 2 or 3 or 4 more other servers, okay? So sometimes when you add storage, there'll be an extra little box here and it'll say, is this a shared space or not? Hey, how you doing? Is that your daughter, Joaquin? Does she want to learn some stuff too? Okay, tell her to pay attention. So we didn't have to do that on this one, so we're good. Okay, I'm going to go into the dump folder because that's where it's currently being backed up to, right there. And it's currently being backed up. I can do the ls minus la, and you can see how it's growing a little bit every time. Let's say you wanted to go off and do something else and you didn't want to sit here and hit the up arrow every time. I'm going to show you guys something new and kind of cool. I'm going to show you the watch command. The watch command lets you execute another command a certain number of times. I want to execute a command every 10 seconds. What do I want to execute? I'm going to put it in quotes here, ls minus la, and then hit enter. Now this is every 10 seconds, it's going to execute the command for me, and you're going to see that number increment. Unless it's done, it might be done already. But it's not incrementing, so it must actually be done. But very, very helpful command, very handy command to have. If I wanted to see my disk space to see if it was getting eaten up, I could do watch, and I can actually do this at a much shorter. I can do it like every 1 second. Whoops, not cap. Minus N1 DF. If it's just a simple command, you can just do that. So it'll do that every 1 second. You see how those numbers are changing a little bit? They should change a little bit because we're putting a few more bytes onto the system every few seconds. So,
Jake,
yeah.
when would you use a watch versus like a cron tab or something like that? Does watch only display in the terminal?
Yeah, it just displays in the terminal. Let me turn my volume up a little bit here. It's just so that I can go off and do something else on another terminal window and then occasionally glance over here. It's a console screen. In fact, a lot of network managers use watch and they put up other information like network statistics or throughput or file space. Or like I said, if they're doing a long job, like they're transferring a file from one place to another, and they don't want to keep checking on the destination server, is it done or not? They'll throw it into a watch command like this. So learn how to use watch. It's very, very handy. If you want to know more about watch, you can type in man watch, and it will tell you what watch does. The default interval is every 2 seconds, by the way. Also, watch is only going to be useful on a screen or a command that puts data on the screen of less than one screen, because it's only going to show you one screen. So if I did like if I went to the var log folder and I did ls minus la there, there's potentially more files in this folder that can show up on the screen. So if I put that in a watch command, like that, it's not going to show me the bottom half. It's only going to show me the top half of the screen. So it's not particularly useful unless you truncate what you're looking at. Like here, there's some really neat things you can do. I know I'm getting a little bit off the subject, but this is all related to Linux. This is all important. Let's say I did just want to see ls minus la, and I just wanted to see the top 10 entries of that. I could do like head minus 10. And what that does is it only gives me basically the first 10 lines of whatever that command outputs, give me the first 10 lines. If I do a head minus 20, gives me the last 20 lines. How do you think you get the bottom of the file? Tail minus 20. Okay, so let's say you wanted to look at a log file with the watch command and see only the most recent stuff that's happening. You could do a few different things. You could do like a tail minus F to say, continuously show me the log, starting from the bottom. So if any new information pops up, it'll continue in that log, and then you press Control C out of that. Or we could do something like tail minus 20, just to give us the last 20 lines of the messages file, which just gives us those 20 lines, or actually I'm just going to do 10 lines. And I'm going to put that in quotation marks. And I'm going to watch that. And the other thing that the watch does, by the way, Rahi, also is it shows the time and date that I turned on that watch. And there's some additional parameters that you can use with watch, which make it a pretty handy little command. So get used to using watch, just like you're hopefully used to using grep by now. Okay, so yeah, so how many people, by the way, before we go any further, were able to install a CentOS 7 GUI on Monday? I see Austin was trying and it's kind of stuck right now. Think you got it? Okay. So, and maybe you just paused for a long time. So you're waiting for the video. You know, Cameron, I think I may not have saved that video from the class, but I'll make another video of just doing that, or I'll point you to a video. So I videoed the other two classes at 4477, but I think I forgot to turn on the video. It was kind of hard to follow along. Okay, I'll get a video up of doing it. I'll just do like an offline video of myself doing it. But let's go back to this. I do want everybody to try this offline migration at least once, just so that you're comfortable with doing it. Okay, so var lib vz dump vz shared cd dump. Oops. That was HP calling me. Hope that's not important. I guess we'll find out. Okay, so that finished incrementing. Also, I could have, of course, gone back to the GUI of Proxmox 7 and saw that it was complete. I was just trying to show you guys how you could see on the receiving computer at the destination that it was receiving data. So now, don't care about Proxmox 7 anymore. I'll pretend I don't care about it. Here I'm on Proxmox 2. Let's say I want to restore it here. I'm going to look for it. I can't see it right now yet, okay, because I need to now also add my own storage. Either that, or there's one of two ways you could have done this. I could have shared the dump folder, but I didn't do that. In other words, I could have shared, back up once. Hello. Varlib VZ I could have shared that dump folder. That is the dump folder that got created when we installed this Proxmox and started making backups. But I don't recommend ever sharing space where you've already got files in or they're local files. That's where your local backups are going, okay? So there's one of two things I could do. I could copy or move that file from that shared space right to here. So let me show you how I would do that first of all. I would use the move command, MV, okay? I need to back up, 2 dots, then a /, then shared. Okay, did you see what I just did there? I'm telling the move command to back up one directory, go back to here, and then go into the shared folder, and then look for that VZ dump. There's a file in there called VZ dump something. Hit the tab key, and it should tell me what's in there. Oh, actually, no, dump. There's another dump folder in there. And then I'll type in VZ and hit the tab key, and it'll tell me, hey, I found this file called VZ dump QEMU something, something, something. There's a couple of files in there that match that criteria. What do you want? I'm just going to hit the asterisk and say, I want both of those. I want you to bring both of those files right here. Okay, so did you guys follow that? I did it in one line. I didn't have to use CD and move around. So I used the move command. I said, back up one folder, go down into the shared folder and go into the dump subfolder of that folder. Find a file that matched this criteria, VZ something, hit the tab key. And it moved it, and it's almost instantaneous because a move, unlike a copy, is simply just changing where this file is getting pointed at. The file stays physically on the same spot on the hard drive. We just moved where we told it to sit. We changed its seat number, basically. So now that file, oh, actually, I forgot to do one thing. I forgot to tell it where to move it to. Dot, that's why it wasn't there. Now it did it. So I'll go back over that one more second. So you can see I've got the 725 file. Let me show you again what I did. Here's another nice thing to do. You notice how my command is getting a little bit long and maybe possibly scrolling off the screen? If you hit the / and then hit enter, you get a nice fresh line to type stuff on. Okay, so if you have a big long command, you can type it all out and see it and not worry about, am I getting towards the end of this screen here or not? Also, if you want to put a command on multiple lines, I could type a / there and type in more stuff on another line. So let's just examine this full command. Move, backed up one folder, went into a shared folder, went into a dump folder. I want all the files that match this criteria. So all of that *, which is the wildcard character, space, and then where I want to move it to. Where do I want to move it to? That goes right there. I put a dot in. What does dot mean? It moved it here. So what does that imply? There it is right there. I did the move already. If I do it again, it's going to fail. It's going to say, nope, there's no such file there because you moved it already. What is dot? It's the current directory I'm in right now. Take a look up here at the top of the directory listing. You see that dot right there? And this is the same thing for Windows too. Whenever you do a directory listing, ls-la, first two entries you see up here are dot and dot dot. The dot refers to this directory you're in right now, which happens to be called varlib_vz_dump. Okay, so it's a really nice shortcut. If you want to move something here, type in move this file or copy this file. If I wanted to copy a, like that exports file to here to play with it, etc. exports to right here. And you can even say, well, I want to rename it something else. Something like that. And it'll actually move it to this folder called exports.test. And there it is up there. RN export. Okay, so the dot. What do you think the 2 dots is? If the dot is this directory, what are the 2 dots referring to?
Move it up one directory.
It's the previous directory. That's why when you do cd space ... that moves you one directory back. What happens if I do cd space ... space ... space ... What do you think that'll do?
Goes up 3.
It'll move me three directories back. Okay. What if I did cd space / with nothing? It moves me back to the root directory. Okay. So understand what that dot and that ... are. They're actually files. So now that that file that I needed to back up or needed to restore there is in the dump folder, I can now just go right back into Proxmox and see it and restore it. It didn't show up before, but now it does. And there it is, and I can simply click on that, click restore. Now, it's awfully small. 6.46K. That doesn't seem right. That seems way too small. Maybe I did some, maybe I messed it up. Let's take a look at it, because that doesn't look like the right size at all. It was 896. It was a much bigger file than that. So I might have messed it up. But we'll just do another backup real quick. Yeah, that's definitely not a backup file. That's too little. So let's get rid of that one. By the way, a -V on almost every Linux command gives you verbose output. If I just typed in rm that *725 * without the -V, it would have just given me a blank line. It wouldn't have showed me anything. So obviously when I was trying to show you how to do a move, I messed up that file. Let's just go back to Proxmox 7, do a backup again real quick, and I'll show you the other way. Or another way. We don't have to put it right in this dump folder. Could have saved it to that shared folder. Proxmox 7. Let's do a backup again. Got Proxmox 2 shared. If it's a big backup, by the way, this is kind of nice. You can send an email to yourself when it's finished. So if it's a big, long backup that's going to take 2 or 3 hours, you can start it, put in your email address here, and then when you get an email, they'll say, hey, I'm done now, and then you come back to the computer. So that's kind of nice having that capability. Okay, so it's not going there. It's going in ... shared dump. I think my enter key is not good on this new keyboard. ls-la. I can do a watch. Now, when you do when it's a command like that with multiple pieces, you need to put it in some sort of quote, single or double quotes, by the way. So see how that's growing? We'll come back to that in a minute. While that's doing a backup, let's go ahead and do this the other way by adding that shared storage space to Proxmox 2 itself. Data center, that's the other reason why you might want to add your own storage. Data center storage, add NFS storage. ID Proxmox 2. I would just call it the same thing. You call it whatever you want. You should be able to do the 127.0.0.1, I think. Let's try it. Yeah. That's probably better. Why does that work? Why did that work? That's the local loopback IP address that every computer and every server knows itself by. It's probably better to put that in so that it doesn't bother to send data out onto that public IP address. If you're just trying to look at something on your own computer by IP, use 127.0.0.1. And we'll click all of these things, just like we did before, max backups to add. Oh, access denied. Okay, so it doesn't like that. That's because that's not in exports. We'd have to add that 127.0.0.1 in export. So that we could do that, but let's just do it this way. Excuse me. Okay, now we got Proxmox 2 shared. Let me see what's on it. That's what's on it. So I can back that up now. It's probably done. If I went back to Proxmox 7 and look, it's probably done. Anybody check the stock market lately? Are we all rich again or are we poor? Okay, so when you're migrating a machine, make sure that you don't turn both of them on at the same time. So Angelica, I know you had this 701. So I moved my 725. I turned it off, did a backup. Gonna leave it off. Eventually I'll take it off this machine because I don't trust machine 7 anymore, but don't get rid of it yet. Don't get rid of it until you know it's running on the other machine. So I'm gonna click restore. Gonna go ahead and use the same number that I had used before. Go ahead and even though you've moved from team 7 to team 8, Angelica, go ahead and keep using that same numbering scheme. Go ahead and keep using the same range of IPs you were using before. It'll work over there just like it'll work over. Oh, wait a minute. Let me think about it. It will work for you in your case because you're in the same cabinet. It won't work for me because we're in a different cabinet. We got different gateway numbers. So you may have to change some networking. If this is just a if this is a virtual machine workstation, which I have DHCP enabled, then it doesn't matter. The restore should be even faster than the backup because it's not going across the network. So as soon as it's done here, there's the restore job going right there. You know, let's come back to it. You can always close these little pop-up windows, by the way. It doesn't stop the job. It keeps going down here. It says it's at 100%. Now it's writing the important data for the file. It'll be done in just a second here. Doing a little cleanup. Okay, it's finished. So now I should be able to turn that virtual machine on, and it should run over here. Like I said, I may need to change some networking parameters. It's a VM, so I'll have to change that within the VM. I don't remember what that VM is. I can go look at my notes, but it's fired up. And then we'll look at, what do we want to look at? Austin's Dow rose 1,000 points. Oh, interesting. I thought about selling some stocks today, but I think I'll sell them tomorrow because I think that'll go up even higher tomorrow. But then I think the Dow's going to go down next week. For those of you paying attention. What is WTH for? Jahangir, you're wondering why the Dow rose 1,000 points? Why do you think the Dow rose 1,000 points? Been watching the news? It's because it's right. The stimulus is because the I forgot what the password is for this one. It's because the Congress supposedly passed a stimulus package. I forgot the password. But anyway, that's how you do an offline restore of a VM. So do that at least one time. Preferably do it within the same cabinet. In other words, if you're on team 3, move one of your containers or VMs to team 4's Proxmox, fire it up, make sure it runs there, make sure that you can access the internet with it, and then turn it off and move it back. Or just turn it off and delete it and go back to the original. Don't have both of them running at the same time, just so that you can prove to yourself that you can do it. That's one of the most important things you need to learn how to do, because sometimes servers become unstable and you need to move things around. Also, because of this little exercise we did, we made a backup file over there on another machine. You should never make backups on your local machine. Or if you do, you need to, waiting for your Trump bucks. Yeah, I'm waiting for my $2,000 check, which I doubt I'll get. Did you put a trademark on there? Trump bucks. Okay, I guess we'll have to pay a mirror every time we say that name, Trump bucks. All right, so make sure you do that. Let's take a look at somebody's machine, their desktop machine. What do we want to look at? We want to look at yours, Austin? Okay, what team were you on?
All right. I got it running on the GUI. I got the GUI working.
You did? Okay, can we just
Yeah.
take a look at it?
Sure. My other teammates are having trouble though getting in their VMs.
Your what?
My other teammates are having trouble getting in theirs.
Oh, okay, well, maybe we should take a look at theirs. And then was somebody else having trouble with something on team 2? Or did we fix that? What did I do wrong? I typed in Proxmox. What the heck? Okay, so team 5 and 6 are clustered successfully. First of all, did anybody on either one of these teams happen to do that swappiness thing? Or were you expecting me to do it?
Swap the thing you just did?
No, the swappiness.
I don't recall.
Probably, I'll bet you guys probably didn't. Yeah, I'm seeing a little bit of spiking there on the swipiness. I'll make sure to take care of that. But it's what I went over on Monday with the disk caching. Correct, changing the VM swappiness to 1. Some of you might have done that on your team. Rahi, I think, already did it for his team. So who's having trouble with theirs? Austin's is working okay. How about Tony or Jade?
I think Jade said she couldn't get into hers, or maybe Tony as well.
Couldn't get into it? Are they here?
Yeah.
Are you guys here today?
They were, I think so. I was talking to them in GroupMe.
Oh, I see Jade there. Okay, so let's just try to remotely view your VM and see what it's showing us, okay? Was it that one, Jade, or was it a different one? Because I see it right there, unless that's not the GUI one. So that's supposedly the GUI one?
Mine has GUI on it. I don't know about hers.
No,
She said she couldn't
I
get in.
don't think I have GUI. I thought you said only one person needed to download the GUI.
No, everybody needs to install a GUI.
Oh, okay.
So you
But no,
get,
I haven't had to be able to get on because I think I'm having trouble with my Chrome remote. So I have to try it like with the other.
okay,
one.
well, I'll help you with that then after the class. Well, I'll end the class a little early so we can do that. But
I was waiting.
so
later to
Austin's
try
is
it again.
working?
Yeah, mine's up.
I was waiting until after this meeting to try again to see if it works.
Okay, so you're logged in. So Austin, have you tried doing anything to first make sure that you have networking? Also,
No. No,
okay,
I've
so that's a couple things. After you set up the CentOS successfully, I noticed that your DVD is still popping up. So
Mm-hmm.
you should go to hardware and get rid of it. Remove it because we don't want it. Okay. Oh, also I see that the firewall is enabled. Let's turn that off. On it. We don't want or need firewall on in this class. It's just going to get in our way. It's always getting in our way.
I think it automatically installed it.
It does automatically do that.
Yeah.
Okay, now that DVD is not going to go away until we reboot, but what you should do to make sure you've got networking is one of two things. I would probably drop out to a terminal window. That's the easiest way to do this.
And ping like Google.
Ping something, or yeah, first of all, see if you've got a valid IP address. You can type in IP address. And there's the loopback. There's the ETH0. That's the one we care about. 192.168.30.210/24. Is that because did you hard code it? Oh no, excuse me, that's the broadcast address. There it is. Oh, that's a weird number too. Why are we getting these weird numbers? Do you have DHCP on, or did you hard code an Ethernet address?
I think I have DHCP on when I first.
All right, well that's okay. Let's go check. Here's where you check in GUI, at least in Debian GUI. Let's go look under applications. Let's look under system tools, and we're looking for networking or settings, and then networking. Oops, something's gone wrong. Probably because we don't have good networking. I think we're messed up on the networking. Here's network down here at the bottom. It says network manager's not running. I wonder why it thinks that the network manager's messed up. So it looks like you may have had some stuff hard coded. Let's reboot your server. Or excuse me, I should say reboot your workstation. And while that's rebooting, let's take a look at my workstation. The one that I set up. Where did I set it up? Was it on Team 2? I think it was.
I think you have one on ours.
Yeah, there's a DVD install and a net install. Let's take a look at one of those. I don't remember which one completed. I'll assume that they both completed. Oh, I may have opened up the console twice. I hit the escape key there, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A nice complex password. Don't let a blank screen scare you. It's going a little slow, but that's all right. So applications, system tools, settings, And this should look a lot like Windows settings if anybody's ever played with Windows settings. It's all the same stuff, just in different places. Click on the gear icon here. Connect automatically. I've got under IP version 4 here, I've got DHCP set up. So that's why I'm getting a valid IP address in the right range. I'm going to close that because I don't need to change anything. I'm going to close that. So I'm going to just run a terminal window. Ping google.com. Ping 8.8.8.8. Okay, so I know I've got good networking. So with this workstation at this point, if you can get this far, that means you could go install things now like Google Chrome. So I want you to try doing that. There's Firefox. I'm going to drag a shortcut. Did you see how I did that? I just found it on the menu and dragged a shortcut onto the screen for Firefox. That's the default browser that installs when we install most Linux desktops. Some people like Firefox, but I want you to try to install at least one GUI package. You can install Thunderbird, you can install Chrome, you can install whatever you want to install. Okay, so if any of you have gotten that far, you can go try that on your own. Let's address some of these other issues that people are having. And I'll go ahead and end the class officially now. So if you guys want to work on getting a a GUI running, and then the other thing you might want to try doing, just for grins and giggles, by the way, after you got your GUI running, is try accessing the Proxmox Proxmox virtual environment from within your browser, from within the workstation itself, just to prove that it works. It's going slow here.
Now, are we supposed to do this on the clone VM or the?
No, you can do it on Firefox if you want.
No, I mean like when we're working on this, installing the new GUI, do we work on the new clone VM or just the original VM that we created?
Whichever one you want.
Okay.
10.200:2006. It should look the same. Advanced. That screen is slightly different, but it's more or less doing the same thing. Add security exception. So next time we go to this Proxmox screen, it won't do that. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so that's kind of cool, isn't it? I'm accessing the underlying virtual environment from one of the VMs that's running on the underlying virtual environment. Now, what do you think would happen? Let's see, I'm remote viewing. Let's see what happens. We'll probably get ourselves into some trouble here. And the reason I'm doing this and showing you this is because these are some common things that people accidentally do. So right now I'm on that DVD VM. What if I tried remote viewing that VM while I'm already remote viewing it? Allow pop-ups. Probably a bad thing. let's see what happens. I'm curious.
Wouldn't it be
It
like
crashes the whole
super?
server.
Wouldn't it be really laggy?
Yeah. Exactly what I thought would happen.
Oh,
An endless loop of death.
oh,
So don't do that. That's just like when some of you install Chrome Remote, you tried to remote view the computer you were remote viewing. So we shouldn't do that. I'm gonna go ahead and close that. Okay, can I make a checklist? Yes, yes, I should make a checklist of all the things that we need done for grading. So I will definitely put something on Blackboard that looks like an assignment. I've been kind of putting that off and putting that off, but it's gotten to the point to where I realize, yeah, I need to do that because some of you are advancing, but some of you are not, and there might be reasons for that, but I need to know what those reasons are. Like, why haven't some of you used NFS storage yet, even though I've showed that? And I know some of you are not clustered, that's fine. We had some issues with a couple of the servers, which made it not easy to cluster team 2 or team 8 now. But I'll definitely make a checklist. If you're not sure if you change the swappiness, by the way, let me just go up to that. So I think I did it already for Proxmox too, but if we weren't sure we changed the swappiness or not, like let's just check it for machine number 7 here, Proxmox 7. What was the command? You guys remember the command? sysctl minus W will give us, minus A will give us all of the, and there's VM swappiness is 60, that's bad. So sysctl minus W VM S3APVINESS. So just like that equals, I'm going to change it all the way down to 1. Then we'll do syscontrol minus A again, and now it's set to 1. Hopefully that will stay persistent when we reboot. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and reboot Proxmox 7. We'll use it as a guinea pig, just to make sure that swappiness stays persistent, meaning persistent through a reboot. Okay, so any other questions about what I'm kind of showed you today? Just to remember what I showed you using the watch command, not migrating, but moving around a little bit with the cd ... moving a backup from one machine to another and restoring. So I want everybody to try that at some point, sooner than later. You're going to be sorry if something happens to your server and you didn't make a backup and at least try a restore, at least save a backup to some other server in the lab. Don't use machine 7 because it's having a problem. So everybody should, at the very least, make a backup onto some other Proxmox in the lab. Restore it and you run it at least once, make sure it works, but then you can shut it down and go back to your original machine. How soon will I post this video? As soon as I can figure out where to post it. I'm waiting on an email from my department chair and my department people on suggestions. I think somebody said Dr. Parks was uploading videos to YouTube, but didn't somebody here just say that that'll be too long of a video? Is there a maximum on YouTube?
no, I think you just need to edit it before you.
Okay, I've never uploaded a YouTube video, so I don't know. I'll find something else to use. It's just we're not supposed to use Blackboard because there's not enough space on Blackboard.
Miso has uploaded a lot of videos that's like over like an hour or so, so I don't think there should be a problem.
Okay. All right, then I will see you guys on Monday. And yeah, thanks for bugging me about the about that checklist. I'll make that into official assignments. That was all stuff that I had started doing 3 weeks ago, and then somebody got sick in China and caused problems. So anyway, Googled it, and you need to verify your account and enable options. Okay, I'll check all that out later, Tony. Thanks for that info. Any other questions?
I had a question. Have you put in grades in the grade book yet?
No, I haven't put in any grades for this class yet.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not the only one. That was all.
No, you're not the only one. I haven't put in any grades. Usually for this class, I start putting in grades right after spring break. I start putting in grades. I start making checklists for what people are, or where people are supposed to be at. Or if the class is small enough, sometimes I have a class of 8 or 9 people. It's really easy to grade 8 or 9 people without having to do assignments. You just kind of get a feel for them, how often they're in the lab, what kind of questions they're emailing you. But with 20-something people in the class, I'm going to definitely have to post assignments. So I will make assignments on Blackboard, which are basically just going to be checklists of where you need to be. And then I will grade those. But all of it's pretty much not due till the end of the semester. Yeah, since you just got it up and running, you have some catch up to do. That's fine. And I know some of the others of you are still having issues with Chrome. What I did for one student, and this was a suggestion. Yeah, you could install VNC if you wanted. What I did for another student is I helped her install TeamViewer. This was not you, Angelica, this was somebody else. Just as an experiment, I installed unattended remote access TeamViewer and then sent her an email so she could get on her virtual machine in the EI lab via TeamViewer, then install Chrome Remote. Or just use TeamViewer if you wanted. You know, there's, I recommend and suggest using Chrome Remote, but there's several other remote viewing programs like Rahi is using VNC. Now keep in mind that VNC is what TeamViewer is based on. And so is Log Me In and Go to My PC and a lot of these other programs that are commercially available. They're all based on this basic code called VNC. So there are Linux versions of VNC where you could, if you wanted to, we could set up VNC on the Proxmox servers even. So let's see how we use SSH to install. I'll use it to connect my personal server. I don't understand what you're saying there, Rahi. After we install GUI, do we install VNC? How do we use SSH? In other words, are you asking how to use that SSH to connect via VNC?
What I was asking is, on my VM, can I use SSH with port following to connect to my other server so I can bypass your firewall and I won't have to use my Windows VM through Chrome to do everything?
Right, that's kind of what I was getting at. If we were, there's a couple different things we can do. If we were to install VNC on the Proxmox servers, we could actually remote view the Proxmox server directly without having to go through Chrome or without having to go through a machine in the EI lab via Chrome or via TeamViewer or anything else. So we might want to experiment with doing that. I'll do that first on one of the Proxmox servers and then show you guys how I did that. Or as Rahi said, you could install VNC in server mode on one of your VMs and then run VNC client on your laptop or anything else in the world and view your VM directly, as long as that VM stayed running. Now, Rahi, it's an issue with what happens if that server and that VM goes off. Because the server reboots.
Then you're SOL.
Right, then your connection's dead. So your connection's gone. So, but that's all good stuff to show you guys. So yeah, that might be what we try experimenting with next week, is setting up VNC in server mode on your VMs and your containers. You can do it on a container too. So you can remotely view a container. You're saying what, Audrey? Why are you saying what?
Nothing.
Okay. Am I getting too complicated for you?
Well, I think like what you and Rahi were talking about, yeah, I was just kind of like, don't know what that is.
Okay. So what all that we're talking about, it's not really that complicated. All we're talking about is this program called VNC, which is just like Chrome Remote. Except the cool thing about VNC is it can be text-based. So if I had a little container or a little VM that that didn't have a GUI on it, and I wanted to remote view it anywhere else in the world,
Uh-huh.
I could install VNC server on that container or that VM and remote view that virtual machine, totally bypassing Proxmox, totally bypassing having to log into a virtual machine in the EI lab.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably worth showing you guys how to do that. You know,
Yeah.
and also VNC is an open source package that you can download. So it falls under the, family of open systems here that I'm trying to teach you guys. So I got to get ready for my next class, the 4377 class. So I'll stop the recording on this. I will make an official assignment, but it's not going to be due. I'm not going to make any of these due till the end of the semester, but you should start referring to those assignments so that you can tell where you need to be and what I need to be seeing from you guys.
On some of those assignments, I'm gonna have like the instructions, like, cause some of the things we've done, like we used Google and it like gave us a layout of how to do it step by step.
Right?
Assignments, are you gonna put like the Google link to?
Yeah, I will put those, I'll put links within the assignment that says, have you set up a virtual mint? Yes or no? And I'll put a link there, which is a preferred link on how to go set up virtual mint. Okay, will that help?
That will help a lot.
So I'll just I'm going to just give you guys a clickable roadmap on how to do the entire class, a checklist. That's probably the easiest thing to follow. And that's what I usually do virtually every semester. It's just a lot of times I write it down or it's in my head. Because like I said, if I have 8 or 9 students, it's easy to do. But if I give you guys a virtual checklist, the way I grade you guys is if you completed all the items on the checklist, you get an A. If you completed, 80% of them, you get a B, that kind of thing. But this semester, I'm going to be pretty lenient. As long as you guys are participating, you're going to get a decent grade. I've never given a C in this class. I've given only A's and B's. Okay. One fellow, by the way, he was offered a job and he was graduating, and he says, I don't really feel like coming to your classes anymore. If I quit right now, what's my grade? And I said, it's going to be a B-. He says, you know what? I'm good with that. Just give me a B-. I quit. I said, okay, fine. So he didn't care about his grade. He just wanted to graduate and get a job and get out of here. So, he completed about 75% of the work. And so that's what I did. Anyway, I don't recommend you guys do that. I'll see you guys on Monday, and I'll send you guys several more email links. And I may switch to Teams, but I think this is working pretty well. Okay, see you later.
All right, bye.